All right, well, thank you, viewers of CCN, for watching the first episode of Speaking Sustainability. Speaking Sustainability is sponsored by the Institute for Energy and Sustainability. My name is Vincent DeVito, and I'm the Executive Director of the Institute for Energy and Sustainability, which we commonly reference as IES. Briefly, a little bit about IES before we get to our first featured guest, Mike Ryan. The Institute for Energy and Sustainability is a green business zone based right here in central Massachusetts. We have an office here at the Marsh Institute on Clark University's campus. It's primarily staffed right now by our senior program advisor by the name of Christopher Noonan. You're welcome to stop by and say hello to him anytime. Or feel free to give me a call or email. Our website is energyandsustainability.com. We have been working aggressively during our 2010 launch year to be an economic development initiative for the clean energy technology sector here in central Massachusetts. Our intent, and we have been relatively successful over the past year to 18 months, in creating a world-class green business zone. We have been very effective in developing business-to-business networks. We have had several corporate conferences. We have been working aggressively on the project development side, and we have been trying to find opportunities for those, both in the employment sense and on the project aspect of all this, and perhaps even some financing for opportunities in the clean energy technology sector. The success of IES is largely based on the will and the resources that are based here, not only at Clark University, but throughout the city and county of Worcester, which is generally our footprint. There are folks should know, over just about 40 towns and cities within central Massachusetts, and those are really our target audience right now. And within that particular geographic footprint, there are well over 100 successful clean energy technology companies. Each and every one of those is in growth mode. And the primary reason for that, if you don't know already, and I'll reference and ask you to look it up or contact IES, and we'll give you the information on how to find that, is the Green Communities Act, which was signed by the governor in 2008, in July 2008, here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. The Green Communities Act has within that a boatload of incentives, mandates, and programs designed to deploy clean energy technology here in Massachusetts, and designed to help institutions such as IES and cities and towns such as Worcester and surrounds to be healthy participants in the clean energy technology market on a worldwide basis. The fortunate thing is that the market is significant enough here and now that we don't have to tap into the worldwide market now. However, we do have interest from international entities, both governmental and commercial, here in what we're doing. At our first corporate conference, we had representatives from Canada. We also had folks come from as far away as California. We're also working with a similar type organization in the UK called Set Squared for a investor technology to commercialization type event for later this spring, and we'll be doing some planning meetings later on this month, I believe next week, with those folks. So there's an awful lot going on. That's kind of the framework. The Green Communities Act is not the only program. There's been a lot going on, and we'll start talking with our first guest, Mike Ryan, about this soon at the federal level as well, to help this economy kick in. We're all familiar with the Stimulus Act of 2009, and then there's been talk about doing a mini energy stimulus. Part of that happened before the close of 2010 with the extension of the renewable energy credits and programs. A large part of the wind, solar, hydro development that happens is based on something called the investment tax credit, which can be opted into instead of the production tax credit. These are all items that are serious drivers on the project side, and brings the ability to finance these projects. Because I think it's important, and this is the fundamental of IES, despite the fact that we have enormous environmental attributes wrapped around our activities, none of this truly happens, fortunately or not, without the financial metrics making sense. So it's important to keep in mind that as you watch what IES is doing, or if you explore your own interest in this particular sector in the market, that the financial metrics need to make sense as a constant. And that's a good segue into our first guest, Mike Ryan. He is a guy who pivots right on the top of the commercialization of technology. He's been doing this for over 25 years, or just about 25 years, if that's correct.
That's correct.
And he has a lot of experience working with both academic institutions, development stage companies, and larger enterprises in this sector. He's a consultant, and I don't have it committed to memory, so I'm going to read for just a moment. But he is a president and CEO of a company that focuses on technology development and commercialization, which is, as I mentioned, the key to all this. He focuses on opportunities in clean technology. He's a founder of a new organization, which IES is a part of, called the Action Network, and he is on the advisory council of STEM Power. And STEM Power is probably something that I don't know too much about, Mike, but before we get to talking about STEM Power and other activities, maybe you can give us a little bit deeper insight into your background.
Sure. Well, thanks very much for the introduction, Vincent, and I appreciate being here on the inaugural Speaking Sustainably event that IES has hosted. I've been studying the clean technology sector for all my professional career and have been getting more involved within the last 5 years. And one of the particular areas that I've been studying is the support mechanisms that are in place to help clean technology companies grow. And one particular area of support mechanism is the incubator systems that we can find both here locally, regionally, throughout the country, and around the world. And those incubator systems are the place for companies to leverage experience out in the marketplace to help their companies grow.
So, from your experience, one of the things that IES is contemplating as well is the development of an incubator space here in Worcester. And the dynamic behind that is the element of workforce training. With your experience in working with incubators, being a founder of incubators, what are, say, the 5 essential components of launching an incubator?
Well, I don't know about the if there's 5 particular components to be aware of. But certainly, you need to have community involvement and involvement with state and local officials. You need to have the support, as you mentioned, the Green Communities Act of 2008. You need to have the support of the legislature and also local community leaders. And the reason you want to do that is because much of incubation is about economic development and job growth. And so those are certainly key, having the participation of those individuals. But you also need participation of corporations. And that participation might come through in terms of through sponsorship programs. So as clean technologies are being developed, those particular private organizations might have an interest in some of these new technologies that are being developed as part of their portfolio later on in their product life cycles. So it's very important to have both community involvement and public sector involvement, but also private corporations getting involved and perhaps sponsoring the organizations. And then there's the need for volunteering. Volunteering for people that have that are like-minded in terms of moving clean technology forward, and there are opportunities for volunteering in cash-strapped organizations such as incubators comes in the form of developing grants, researching grants and developing grant proposals perhaps, as well as taking operational roles in terms of the interaction with the community from the incubators. And then there's also the interaction of the incubator itself with other incubators, and that's where the Association of Clean Tech Incubators of New England comes in, helping to tie together all the incubators, not only in the state of Massachusetts, but around New England to make the region more competitive.
Is it a, you know, if we build it, they will come, or do you have to identify the incubator tenants first before you go about trying to build such an organization?
I think it's a little of both. As in all businesses, one of the most important things, as Edison pointed out more than 100 years ago, is the perspiration that gets put into those businesses. You have to have a level of tenacity to make sure that as you envision something, you're going to be able to push through that particular barriers. So the engagement with the community and with the possible researchers that are involved with basic research or applied research or translational development in the community, the incubator staff, so to speak, or those proponents of the incubator need to reach out to that community of technology development and pull them in, while coincidentally pulling in the necessary infrastructure to develop the incubator itself to get it off the ground. So I think it's a dual effort of both the portfolio companies, the early stage companies that might be inhabitants of the incubator, and the whole support network that is going to get the incubator off the ground. They need to come together at a certain point in time. It's best to obviously have tenants in place while the incubator is being launched.
Wearing your hat as president and CEO of Accelerate, what do you see right now as kind of the hot opportunities in the clean energy technology sector? Is it on the energy efficiency side? Is it on the renewable generation side? Or is it on the R&D side? And, you know, the human or behavioral sciences, things of that nature. What's the target that seems to be hopping?
Yeah, I think energy efficiency goes a long way these days because it can have an immediate effect. Whereas there's a lot of technologies that are being developed. Many of the meetings that I sit in, there are ideas that are in basic research now that might not hit a commercial marketplace 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now, just because of the amount of time and regulatory approvals and so on that might go into effect. So for a real sort of getting traction in the clean economy, energy efficiency is very important now. There's a lot of work being done on building efficiency, commercial space efficiency, whether it's software tools to help manage building efficiency, or coordination across the web, be it at the cloud level, to help monitor and manage building efficiency. From there, though, we have to imagine, I think, that we've got, if we put conservation efforts in place through energy efficiency, we need to have these new technologies being developed in parallel so that they can come in and make step changes and improvements to our energy use and reduce energy demand over time. Smart grid is another area where it's very important. A lot of investment is being made. We've got an infrastructure that needs investment in terms of improving the way energy is delivered to consumers, retail and commercial consumers. So those are some of the areas where there's a lot of attention being paid. And it's just amazing how much $4 a gallon gas will really motivate people to innovate in a variety of different ways and generate or look at generating energy from whether it's hydrothermal vents at the bottom of the ocean, or offshore wind farms, or new advances in solar power.
I think it would be interesting to hear a little bit about your particular personal journey. So you're a high-end leader in the clean energy technology sector. How do you get from, say, coming from Pittsburgh, thank you very much for beating the Jets, by the way, and finding your way here to New England, central Massachusetts, Boston area, and making all that happen for yourself? Because I think that, some of our audience is going to be interested in possibly getting involved in this sector. So how did it happen for you, and what were your drivers?
Right. Well, the drivers really, I think, come back to having a compass inside. Each individual has a compass inside them. And I think it takes being the father of a college-age student right at this point in time. I spent a lot of time thinking about and trying to convey to him the direction in life and how you make choices in terms of pursuing those directions. I've been up in New England since 1986 or thereabouts, after having spent 4 years in the Navy as an officer on a surface warship. But throughout that professional career, I've been very interested in environmental issues, sustainability issues, energy improvements, and so on. But again, I've been involved across my career in a variety of different industries, including consumer electronics and aircraft engines, as well as biotech, being involved in a startup in biotech. One of the consistent aspects of my career has been that there's always been technology development within the work that I've been doing throughout my professional career. So those that are at the formative stages of their career, I think you want to look at functionally, how do I want to contribute? Do I want to contribute in a functional role in research or development or a management role? Do I want to be an individual contributor? Do I want to be a scientist or a manager? And then you pick specialties in which you want to acquire the necessary information to be successful within those particular areas. And you can do that in a variety of different ways, through participation in groups within the school environment, within the community environment. And what I mean by that, it might be within the Worcester area. The WPI Venture Forum, for instance, is one particular way of getting people together on a regular basis and talking about what's going on in the technology development community, looking at opportunities that are developing there. And you use those opportunities to meet new people, find out what's going on within the business community, and participate. Everyone is always willing to help, certainly folks that are interested in getting involved in crossing from one industry to another. And the main thing you need to do is speak up and have an idea of where your vision is, convey that to others, and then be persistent about it.
You mentioned energy efficiency as being a driver right now, especially in the with regards to the clean technology behind all that. I happen to agree as an opportunity spot. But a lot of us, that particular message or that sector seems to be getting crowded out, if you will, in terms of the background noise with offshore wind. We hear a lot about Cape wind. One of the things that Massachusetts has as a catalyst, I guess, in this sector is a training or testing facility, down in the New Bedford area for wind turbines. What's your perspective on the whole wind opportunity, onshore, offshore? Is it live? Is it too expensive? It's heavily reliant on subsidies, and maybe you can tie that in and how that plays into the smart grid and the need for energy efficiency technology.
Well, I think that's an example of where, or going back to your first point about the crowded nature of energy efficiency. That I think might be a result of the international momentum that has really been placed on energy efficiency based on the general acceptance about climate change and the human impact on climate change. So there's, I think, an international momentum that has caught hold now that didn't catch hold 30 or 40 years ago. And I see that as very good for the industry as a whole. In general, when you're in a research mode, and many of these energy efficiency technologies might be in a research mode, you're not going to have 100% success moving from basic research to applied research to commercialization. So the fact that there's a lot of activity in energy efficiency means that in the next few years, 5 or 10 years, there'll be consolidation of the best ideas of energy efficiency within that marketplace. And as I mentioned earlier, having those improvements in energy efficiency then coming to light while we're making investments in step change or different types of energy production, such as wind, is going to be very beneficial, because that'll be the Band-Aid that helps get us to a clean economy. Now, with regard to onshore wind and offshore wind, I think from a existence value, all these scenic vistas, whether it's having the wind turbines off of Cape Cod, there's a lot of pushback in terms of preserving those scenic vistas And that is certainly a viable position for some to have. But as you look as our population continues to grow, as the demands on energy more than likely continue to grow, and the need for us to take action in terms of climate change and in general weaning ourselves off of foreign oil, then I think it makes sense to consider the variety of different opportunities: offshore wind, onshore wind. One of the things that we hear a lot about today with onshore wind is the not in my backyard. There's beginning to be a little bit of pushback. Towns are taking a position in terms of putting bylaws in place, whether it's because of flicker or the noise that is generated by a wind turbine. Some find it soothing, others find it very annoying. So I think we're going to go through this as we should in a democracy, a discussion at the local level, at the community level about siting turbines, and perhaps this will be a motivating force to help alleviate some of the problems that the communities that are installing these systems find to be a problem. Then from there, just imagine the amount of infrastructure that is necessary, going to be necessary really, to bridge where our old electrical distribution system is to the distribution system of tomorrow. And whether or not that's incremental change or really a step change for bringing those efficiencies to bear through some of the smart grid technology, I think that's where the intersection comes through with generation, the new generation possibilities, and then where's the distribution, an efficient distribution system that gets this new clean energy to the users.
Yes, he said something very important, which is that the need for energy, electricity, is going to continue to grow on a global basis, domestically as well, and the constraints for fossil fuel-based energy generation are also growing in magnitude. So the need for solutions is imperative. For those that don't know, the only term of the trade that I think was mentioned was flicker, and flicker is exactly what it sounds like and what you think it is. It's the spinning of the turbines, and it creates a shadow, and boom, boom, boom. Generally speaking, I'm not a technician, but in any respect, flicker is not as big a problem because the sun and earth, the earth moves so quick, so that the sun coming in onto the turbines isn't necessarily a steady thing. It wouldn't be a constant for, say, I don't know, 20 minutes in a row. But generally, you also position the turbine so it doesn't have that great an impact. But that's a whole different issue, and I'm getting it above my head on the technology and siting sides of things. This was a terrific opportunity to speak with you. Thank you very much. I'm pleased to have you as
Great to be here.
Thank you. In Speaking Sustainability, if I'm going to take some liberty here, but if any of our viewers want to contact Mike, you can contact IES, and we'll put you in touch, and you continue the conversation that way. Thank you for watching. I hope you agree there's certainly an awful lot of opportunity here. There's a lot of information to take in. The good news is, despite you guys like Mike and myself that have been doing this for over a decade or so, it's just starting. So the opportunity, the thrill, the passion, and the fun of it all is certainly starting to come up to speed, and it's not too late to get involved in this sector if it's something you're interested in. So with that, thank you, and I encourage your continued participation in the clean energy technology sector, your interest, and hopefully with the Institute for Energy and Sustainability.